Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Broken Berean. I decided to take a quick little break from gaming today because someone told me about this movie that's coming out, and I hadn't really paid attention. So they sent me a link to this article, and I was like, okay, Francis Ford Coppola is released his new movie called Megalopolis at Cannes, and it's got a limited release at the moment. And I think we'll see more, from what I understand, more US releases coming September. And this is the ideal headline to get me intrigued about a movie. Now, with all the stuff that's going on and all just the weird stuff, telling me that Francis Ford Coppola has made one of the most bonkers movies that critics have ever seen has me intrigued. And honestly, when I saw the title, my brain went completely different direction. I don't know why my brain thought Metropolis. Francis Ford Coppola is remaking the first science fiction movie ever made, which I don't think that would ever work. I think it should be just pristine. And then I was like, I'm gonna go watch the trailer and see how weird it is. And I was like, this is it's Metropolis, not Megalopolis. Yes, okay. My brain just started with an N, had an S in it. Just my brain just got confused in the title. That's okay. Some of us nerds might get confused by that, but it's okay. And I was like, okay, Francis Ford Coppola is an amazing director. Um, but he's also one of those directors that I don't see his film multiple times. I think with a few exceptions. The first Godfather film, Apocalypse Now, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Don't get me wrong, I haven't seen all of his work, but there's movies that I loved, like Jack, starring Robin Williams. Loved that movie. I could never watch the thing again. It is heartbreaking. It's just, hits me in the heart every time. Every just thinking about it just hits me in the heart. I'm like, it's such a sweet and wonderful movie, but I can't watch it again. No way. Absolutely not. But that's his style. So to me, this seems like it might be one of those ones that I'm going to have to watch multiple times, because if it's making the critics think it's bonkers, there's probably a lot of weird, funky stuff in it. And it's basically a passion project of his that he's had in mind. So it's sci-fi, which is something it's not in his wheelhouse. I don't say he couldn't do it, or he didn't do it with this, but science fiction is really not his wheelhouse. So I don't know what to say when it comes to this. And honestly, let's just take a quick look at the trailer. I'm going to stop it quite a bit because I did get a copyright warning on that Dune trailer reaction. So let's just take a quick look. I'm going to stop it because there's a couple things I noticed when I first watched it that maybe some people pick up on, some people don't. I don't know. We'll take a look.
When does an empire die? Does it collapse in one terrible moment?
Okay, right there. Let's just take that back. When I first saw this, don't know why, can't explain it, my mind absolutely went to, hey, it's a couple looking out a window with the destruction of a city. What's the first thought that comes to my mind? The ending of Fight Club. But that's just me. I was like, hey, it's the ending of Fight Club. There's a couple still staring at the destruction of buildings. Hey! I'm going to point out a few more things like that. But it definitely has that, this post-apocalyptic vibe, and it's quite interesting.
No. But there comes a time when his people no longer believe in it.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
See, I'm sorry, I've double pause there, but it's starting to get that. It's definitely heavily influenced by the Art Deco 1920s. You kind of see it in the architecture and the vehicles, and starting to see some of that stuff that's very old school, vintage 1920s with that Art Deco feel. But continue watching this. Another thing that I see, and I can't explain why, there's nothing specific that I can point to and go, that's what makes me think of this. But it feels like it's also heavily influenced by Dark City, which is an incredible sci-fi movie. If you've not watched it, you need to go watch it. It's great, but it's got this Dark City vibe to it. And if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, welcome.
Is this society, is this way we're living, the only one that's available to us?
And here's another thing, I can't pinpoint it, but watching this little sequence right here made me think of the movie Babylon with Margot Robbie. It wasn't a good movie, but it makes me think of that. And I guess because it's kind of set in that same era, kind of that look, kind of that extravagance and things like that, and the neon. Maybe that's where it's coming from. But I'm picking up a little Babylon vibe. But that's on par for a city that's supposed to be on the edge of destruction, that's falling apart, as we saw, coming to a collapse. And let's keep on going.
We are taking our city back.
And when we ask these questions, when there's a dialogue,
See that right there? We get there. Okay, so this is definitely out of character for what we've seen. So it's definitely getting that sci-fi vibe. I did read this a few synopses, kind of explaining it. Adam Driver has the ability of time travel or something to that nature, where he's able to see or go back in time and change things, or into the future and change things. They're very cryptic on some of these reviews, but it's kind of like, okay, this is probably what we're seeing here is him manifesting some sort of portal or vision into the past, something like that. So
when there's a dialogue about them, that basically is a utopia.
now, see, here's the weird part. You know, we saw Adam Driver, we saw Lawrence Fishburne, and we didn't see any of these other stars in there. We may have seen some of the female. I didn't know who the female was standing next to Adam Driver. I'm not familiar with her, but we didn't even see the top built all the top built cast in this teaser trailer, and which is kind of weird because Aubrey Plaza is a good name to put in there, especially Dustin Hoffman. But this is kind of weird. It's definitely out of his wheelhouse, and it's even has that kind of Blade Runner vibe. First one, not the new one. First one, it's got that Blade Runner vibe to it. So it's futuristic. You know, we've seen that in the future, but kind of attached to the past type of scenario of or theme in the movie itself. And it may be, according to critics, the worst things Coppola has ever done. But that doesn't mean the critics are right. I mean, let's be honest. Critics can get it wrong, and I don't really trust the critics. I trust certain people when it comes to reviews like this. When it's something like this and it's very weird, very off center of the norm, there's certain people I look to see how they react and see if it's worth it. Right now, based on the trailer, I will see it. Probably not in theaters. I don't know if I want to spend money to sit through a standard 2.5 hour Francis Ford Coppola movie in a theater that I'm going to hate. But I might if the newer trailer that comes out shows more. But honestly, it's kind of trippy. I like it. I'm kind of like, I like weird stuff. I like B movies. I like stuff from like Asylum, the Asylum production company that did work for the Sci-Fi Channel back in like the early days. Weird, just random bad B movies. I like the cerebral stuff like Dark City, uh, and so this kind of checks a lot of my boxes, but it definitely has that overtone of there's going to be a lot of critique of America. That's just based on the wording, some of the key phrases in there, that it's going to try to allude to America, and not saying that America should not be critiqued, but you want to critique it, you don't want to beat it. So let's be fair. There's always critiques for anything, but let's be fair. So I hope it doesn't go that way. Coppola has never really been in that camp of being very political. He wants to tell his story, but using the illusions of Rome and things like that, there might be comparisons that get made that aren't there. That's fair to assume that that's going to happen. But if this really is truly the most bonkers movie that Coppola's ever done, I'm kind of game, because Apocalypse Now was absolutely bonkers. I mean, it was nuts. I mean, it's a crazy. You watch it, you're like, I'm not even sure what I just watched. And if it's on that level, I'm in. And that it's sci-fi, it's got an element, got that dark, vintage 1920s Art Deco feel to it. I'm in. What are you thinking? What have you heard? Let me know. Is this something that is going to be worth the time going to the theater? Or is this just going to be something I should just wait till the streaming services get a copy of it sometime? Because, I mean, right now I'm on the fence. Like, it looks good, but it's a Francis Ford Coppola movie, and I may want to walk out and just be depressed and sad, like after watching Jack. But I don't know. I really don't. But I'm optimistic. Just give me your thoughts below. Let's talk about it and see what we end up talking about. All right. So, everyone, have a wonderful weekend this weekend. And as always, I love you all, and there's nothing you can do about it.